good afternoon. Welcome to Laurel Park. A wonderful day to kick off this Sprint Fest Stakes Day. 6 stakes coming up, $900,000 worth in purses. First race of the day, though, mile and eighth. I am joined by Callie Francois as well. Callie, how are you doing? What are you looking forward to most today?
Oh my gosh, there's such a good day of not only racing but of Maryland racing here today at Laurel Park. I have to say there are all the big girls races, the Barbara Fritchie. I am so excited to see what goes down, what shakes down in that race today.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to see. Hello, beautiful. Don't let sweet fool you. Sharp Star. It's a tough field in the Barbara Fritchie, but can't wait to see as well how the pace will work out. Dave Rotman and I were discussing this earlier, so we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's kick things off here with the first race of the day. Of course, also the start of the early pick 5 sequence. And the late pick 5 kicks off in race 5, 12% industry low takeout, 50-cent dollar minimum bet. Fun sequence, plenty of value to be found. And Callie and I are going to try and guide you to the right horses today. And we'll kick things off here with your top selection, Callie, the number 5, which is Rooftop Bar for Robbie Bales. Victor Carrasco ride. You see him here in the paddock, stretching out to the mile and an eighth for the first time. Did have a good win over the mile last time here at Laurel Park.
You know, I picked this horse for a price today. I'm a big momentum girl, and to me, this horse was the only horse that has really won well recently in this field today for the first race. I think momentum is a big thing in almost every aspect, just horses and their mindsets, importantly. This is another horse that I really do think will benefit from the extra furlong. He actually wasn't too far off the pack in the beginning of the race earlier. I won't be surprised if he makes a rail ride again. It's very easy at this level for horses to be tired at this length. They'll fan out, and I definitely think Rooftop Bar with Carrasco is going to take advantage of that again. But, you know, a lot of people think that riding the rail is a huge risk, but I call it a calculated risk, especially in this case.
And the number 3, Imagine Winning. I kind of had this gelding on and off my ticket here. Claudio Gonzalez trains. He's stretching out to the Mount 8 after being outrun sprinting last time out. But he kept on evenly, and I was kind of looking at a pedigree angle, sort of a sprint bottom side. And imagining the sire not the best with sayers. Sensible Shoes, she was kept to sprinting. And Imagine Winning, his half-sister, Singing Stilettos, also failed to stretch out. So I'm a little bit worried about this stretch out, but we do know Claudio is very good in doing so. 32% winners when he stretches them out.
I can definitely see why. But that's basic. That's what you said was exactly what I pointed it to. The sprinter route, 32%, 13 winners out of 35 starts. You know, I just see a similar The thing is, I do see a similar pattern as I do with the 7 horse, which is why I didn't go with the 7 horse. It's just less of a dramatic drop. And when, you know, he hasn't been able to do very well sprinting as of late. And when they don't do well, you have to stretch him out. It could be just a pace thing. It could be this horse's personality thing. He's just kind of a bit of a plotter. So just showing a little bit more consistency in that. I'm giving him a chance because it was a step slow last start. Any horse in that position would be rusty, coming back off of a bit of a layoff. Again, the slow start is going to transfer, hopefully being more active in the field, a bit more forward in the field while stretching out. You know, he ran against tougher fields and higher caliber races, so when this horse is running this race, it should be easier for him just with the class that he's in. Combining that, I'm throwing away the last race due to the gate and just Claudio's numbers going from sprint to route and third off of the layoff, which he's nearing 20% in that.
And he does look a little bit more like the Stain type, sort of lightly muscled, lengthier, leggier to him. So this could possibly hit him right between the eyes. The number 1, Watch the Bourbon, jumping from the rail here. Also a gelding looking for that first time mile and an 8th start here. He is my top selection here for Carla Morgan. Alexander Crispin rides once again. And last time he was aboard this gelding, he ran a very, very strong second. There was a decent effort taking to the front actually when the gates opened. open before dropping back to kind of sit just off the pace. He seems to be comfortable stalking. That was over the 1 turn flat mile here. And when asked, he responds and steadily gained on the leader and just kind of continued to grind. I think he can get a great position going into that first turn. I don't think the rail should be terribly bad today. They've been really, really working on this track. I'm taking the speed horse in this field. Now, there's a couple of others that might want to press forward, but he's got the draw to kind of go to the front without much trouble. And currently, you're 2-1 favorite.
So I see a couple of reasons why you picked him out, and you made an excellent point, which he ran here last. But the reason I did not pick this horse is precisely because of his post position. I think there's a chance for him to get a piece of the action. Watching his win at Penn while he did that in outer post, he was actually shuffled around from the front half of the field well into the race. So as you mentioned, he is a grinding type horse, which I was surprised that he is able to get in trouble and get out of it. He will need to gun for the front, but my biggest issue is that whenever this horse breaks from the 3 to the inside, if he doesn't seem to like that. He's a bit claustrophobic. So when he's breaking anywhere from the 1 to the 3 hole, he gets uncomfortable. And while he is able to I think he's going to be able to get a piece of it today, no problem. I just think he's not going to, there's going to be too much for him to think about for him to be in the right mindset to win this race.
It seems like a wide open claiming 5 Noman is a 2 lifetime as we move towards the outside. The number 8 Political, I use him underneath, and so does Cali. Miguel Vera trains, JD Acosta rides, and this is a horse that absolutely loves it when they go fast up front, and there's a few stretching out in here that possibly could move forward. Certainly I think he's going to be the one to look for late, possibly pick up a check, passing tired rivals. Didn't show any speed last time out on the backside, but did turn it up on the center of the track in the closing stages, making me think he's very intriguing in here. And then on his inside is the number 7 Manicomio for Mikey Girales. This is a horse that was claimed last time out from that 16 level, drops quite steeply here. 3 works since, sort of maintenance work. But as I was discussing earlier with Dave, so form seems to be temporary and class remains. He can possibly get back to some of the figures that he ran at much higher levels. I think he can move forward or even stalk and produce a late challenge. Last time out, I did have a look at that race. He showed speed on the muddy ground here over a mile, looked loaded before kind of packing it up. So perhaps that was just a bit of a non-performance day. And if you go back to some of the aforementioned races that he did so well, and I look at the Gulfstream Park race in 2020 February, that was at optional claiming level, and the winner there, Fearless, he ran 30th. The Fearless went on to run in graded stakes as well as winning another optional claiming second level 94 Bayer. And that day was a very strong run race whereby Manicomio was right on the pace and just slightly tired late. So I'm looking for the number 7 to return to form here once again. And then the number 6 got away. I used him in third Calderon. Charlie Marquez rides. 2 starts back over the course and distance here. Over mile 8 went the distance so gamely, dropped back from sort of a similar gate that he's drawn in here, tucked in behind, moved up between horses on the home turn, catches a break on the rail and really visibly and strongly accelerates that day, willingly finding Runner Indy was too good on the day, but Runner Indy had been so strong over that distance in his last couple of starts. I like that Charlie gets on board, still takes the 5 pounds off here. Fresh rider, and you can just see him patting the ears there of the number 6 Gataway as we see the riders heading out here at Laurel Park. It's a beautiful sunny day. You can see here, very intrigued to see how the track's going to play, but we are running on a fast track, and don't forget the early pick 5 starts right here. Do go to laurelpark.com as well for my selections for the other races coming up, so you have a bit of a guideline. Good luck. Manicomio stuck out wide, has to kind of gradually make his bid, but gamely continues. JV and Toledo on board. Mike Girales trains. $5 flat winner. Surely the horse that saw out the trip beautifully.
I could not be happier to be proven wrong because it's for Mike. And I completely skipped out. He is 33% first after the claim and 25% new trainer. Those percentages are going up now since that run. And then I love the ride that Havian gave him. Last race he was rushed, but today Havian just let him take his time, and it was the perfect opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried of him being stuck out wide, but indeed the patience paid off as well. Move on to the second race of the day here. 3-year-old maidens going 6 furlong, and we'll get started here with your top selection, Callie, the number 8. Francis X comes in here for Donald Barr. Angel Cruz rides. Last time out, ran over 5.5 furlongs. Of course, now just a half an extra furlong here. Don't think that's going to bother him. He was away last of them all, but he finds a gap on the rail and gradually makes up ground. He was no match for the leaders, but kind of continued evenly late.
You know, I know Angel is a regular rider for Donald Barr, but I did love what Forrest did with this horse last time out. Just gave him a really solid education in several different ways. First, she got him in behind her and made him stay there and kind of take it. I've seen in here many times where if a horse isn't introduced to the speed of that dirt hitting him in the face early on in their career, they tend to just pack it in later on when they're supposed to have already known how to deal with it. And second, like you mentioned, she gave this horse a rail trip, but not only did she give him a rail trip, she made that horse get brave. She really dug into him. So when the other rider tried to push her horse around, she gave a superb ride on this horse and just kept carrying on. And this horse got so much mentally out of his past race. I just see this horse continuing leaps forward in this race today.
Yeah, I have him underneath as well because I do feel like he is eligible to move forward. The number 6, Portal 1, my top selection in here, Hugh McMahon trains, reported gelding on December the 18th. Plus, he's making his 3-year-old debut here. So to me, he's bound to improve by virtue of aging as well as the addition of Lasix, being a gelding now. Very sharp work, 2 back 48 and flat. Added another work here on the 16 when of course the card was moved. Last time out, lacked a little bit of speed early, but rebroke and looked loaded going into the stretch. Chased Triple Tito's the eventual winner that day. Not as strong sort of as he needed to be in that latter section, but gets Farron Peterson on board here. Possibly new rider could also freshen him up once again, but has the figures to match.
I think Farron with a fresh take on the horse will certainly help, although he's had almost a different jock every time. Really, I'm just going for a vote of confidence with Hugh on this one. I've seen him do this several times, and he doesn't do it without reason. The proof is in the black and white in front of you, just showing some impressive works, including a lung opener on the 16th, just leading up to today's run. The only thing that did make me question is that couple of trainer scratches, one on the 22nd of January and one on the 5th of February, but I really think the horse was reported gelded after that that really nice run, and I think the horse just needed some time. Going back to when this horse ran at Keeneland, just looking at it, the horse was dogged the entire time. So to me, the horse improved in performance after that. Again, in the December 6th race, and you can see how he improved. It's very hard to train heart into a horse, and if this happens, it will prove again why he was such a successful trainer when he's entering this horse in this typical situation.
Yeah, I think he's well spotted in here. It looks on his toes and on the muscle, ready to go once again. The number 3, Johnny Sack, first time starter in here for Jeremiah Engelhardt. Now, Jeremiah Engelhardt, when he brings his fastest over to make their racecourse debut at Laurel Park, he is 3 from 8. 38% of them hit first time out at this track, which is just absolutely phenomenal stat to go with alone. Now, this is a gelding who's by Mosler. Mosler versus is 8% at present, but he has 18% win percentage with his 3-year-old, and he's only had a couple of 3-year-old firsts thus far on that. So I'm taking that 3-year-old general win stat to say Moser is doing quite well with this age group. Now, Kiss the Diva, she was on race in terms of Johnny Sack's family. Lower sort of claiming class family. None of the 4 siblings have won first time out, but I'm also encouraged by the work tab coming into this. 48-2 breeze from the gate last time out. That's very sharp, and that could certainly jump up to be competitive enough to break his maiden first time out at this maiden game 40 level. Of course, he's Maryland bred, and a fair few of the Maryland breds in here are waiving the claim, so it just shapes up a little bit like a higher class race than the maiden 40 on face value would always suggest. Now, the number 2, Cosmicality, strategy. Had to use him underneath. Now, Broken Vows, only 8% winners with his first time starters, but look at the dam there, Cosmos Buddy. This is the half-brother to British Cup Dirt Mile winner, Pegasus World Cup winner, Nick's Go, who just ran in the Saudi Cup. I do believe he's finished fourth. Very credible run there. Cosmicality, I mean, Maryland's most likely next champion horse, Nick's Go. So certainly from the right pedigree. Be very intriguing to see how he's going to do here for Miguel Vera. A couple of decent works coming into this. 49-1, Breeze from the 8, 36-4. JD Acosta will certainly be looking after this well-bred colt. The number that was the number 2. Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me, I'm confusing myself. My numbers. The number 5, Aloysius Luck, comes in here for Hamilton Smith. Is going to show a fair bit of pace because last time out he was going the mile, now cutting back to that 6 furlong distance. Last time he was on the tail of a very strong pace, close enough, only a length or so off, and that was set by a long shot. And he became under pressure coming around that bend. Kind of gets crowded as well, gets in tight between horses. Keeps on delivering though, keeps on trying, just lacked a little bit late, and perhaps compared to some of the others in here is a touch bit more exposed. But I do feel that cutting back to this 6 furlong distance is going to be the right thing for after having shown so much speed. And in terms of the type that you're looking for, when you're looking at sprinters, you're looking at those heavier boned horses with those strong quarters, and that's exactly what I'm looking at here, that sort of shorter bodied horse. So it seems like the logical spot to bring him back to the 6 furlong with the speed he showed. And Hamilton Smith, a very good horseman himself as well. As we are about 7 minutes to post, your current favorite is the number 3 Johnny Sack in here for Jeremiah Engelhardt. Rest of the board spread out nicely enough here. 5-2 on the number 8 on the outside, Francis X. 6-1 on the number 9. I'm going to stick with my top selection here in the number 6, Portal 1, who's currently 5-1. I'm getting great value there as we are waiting for a Riders Up call for a second race of the day. Of course, the next race will be the start of our 6 stakes races, including the 2 graded stakes coming up, $900,000 of purses on offer, and we have a nice rainbow pick 6 carryover starting in the 4th race, and of course the late pick 5 sequence starts in race 5 as well. Good luck to all involved. Johnny Sack makes his first trip to the racetrack, a winning one for trainer Jeremiah Engelhardt, jockey Victor Carrasco. Last of them all on the backside, but Victor sort of very aggressively started moving him up in between horses, and what a long stride there on this son of Moser. And as I mentioned, Jeremiah Engelhardt, so strong with his first time starters. That percentage of that he has of about 38% with firsts, that's just going to go up.
Exactly. I think because of his long stride, Victor picked up on that clearly right away, and which is why he may have moved a little bit early on him, but that certainly benefited. To add, Jeremiah is also first time claiming he's also 20% within that 38%. So I think there's just so much going for him, and it turned out spectacular.
Yeah, very strong trainer indeed. And we'll quickly mention the results of the Saudi Cup. As I mentioned earlier, Nick's Go ran in that round 4th. Charlatan got beaten in 2nd. A European Invader took home all the spoils in shape of Mishriff, ridden by the young David Egan and trained by the legendary John Gosson and owned by Prince Faisal. So wonderful news for the Saudi Arabia contingent for owning the winner as well.
Some respectable runners for the American duo, but I do have to give a shout out to David Egan. He actually spent some time here at Laurel Park before he started his apprenticeship over the pond. So just a huge shout out to him. He is a great kid.
Yeah, wonderful job by this 21-year-old as we'll get going on the first of our 6 stakes races on the day. The Miracle Wood for 3-year-olds going the 1-turn flat mile. And we'll kick things off with a little package about Kenny Had a Notion. The 2021 Miraclewood sees recent spectacular bid winner Kenny Had a Notion face a familiar foe in May the Horse Be With You, aside from having to compete against a Chad Brown trade invader in Subsidize.
He came out of that race really well, and he breezed twice excellent 5/8 in a minute and change and 3/4 in 14 and change. So he's fit and ready, so we're going to see how far he can carry that speed. Well, he can go either way. He's pretty quick, so, and usually breaks well. So if he breaks well, my guess is he'll probably be in front. So one thing that concerns me is the long run to the turn. So sometimes those horses tend to be a little quick without that turn to slow him down a bit. But we'll see how well he rates, and we'll see what happens.
Very much intrigued by the pace setup of this race because Kenny Had a Notion went to the lead last time out. Different draw this time though, and May the Horse Be With You showed a lot of speed, pressing him early, and we do have a video as well which shows Kenny Had a Notion and May the Horse Be With You, two of them up the front, his mandate in the back who's also re-opposing here. Kenny Had a Notion, just such a wonderful staple here on this circuit. It's really continued to progress, has grown into himself, and this run here he really puts his heart out, belly low as Tim always says. Both of these horses gun it down to the wire, but let's talk about the four May the Horse Be With You as well. For Brittany Russell, the one that's on the outside, you see Sheldon reaching for his goggles here in an effort to keep him going, and takes nothing away from this second place runner that continues to improve just as well. And you can see them here right next to each other once again.
Right next to each other. This is how it's going to be when they pop out of the gates, and I do think this definitely changes the dynamic. May the Horse Be With You, I do think is in fact a bit of a quicker horse. I think last race Kenny just benefited from that push from May the Horse Be With You. I think Sheldon needs to play to his strengths, which is probably to go to the lead, which he'll be the prominent speed. Breaking right from the quarter pole, no matter where he's at, this horse really just runs at the end of the race. I've always been impressed with how well this horse finishes. He keeps, the better, the longer he keeps going. So I think this long mile stretch down the front side and down the front side will be a game changer for him. I also watched a couple of times the gallop out when these two were together, and I remember I saw Sheldon still push this horse a little bit after the wire, so he might have had this race in mind last time out, and I think adding to the fact that let's talk about the fact that Sheldon did lose his stick at one of the most inopportune times at the 8th pole. I don't think that's going to be an issue today. I think Russell's going to keep it together, but I do see this horse being a bit more competitive. I like the body language of this horse every time I see him run.
I agree with you. I think May the Horse Be With You might just have a touch bit more speed when the gates open in this spot. I think he's gonna be one of the May speed influence. Of course, we had the King Cheek withdrawn as well. Stallion 70 were both also were going to contribute to that early pace. And Kenny Had a Notion, a bit more of a larger type horse that has shown a lot of speed. So I think he suits from the extra distance here. But May the Horse Be With You is possibly the one that's going to show the way and try to continue holding on there, as all the money is pouring in to the New York Invader in the number 7 Subsidize. Comes in here for Chad Brown. He's done steadily enough when he brings horses over here. 8 from 27 at 30% winners with a staggering 81% in the money. Now this is a colt buy into Mischief, who broke his maiden last time out after 4 times trying. Went straight to the front, was inside of a dueling pair, goes against inside on the rail, continues so strongly, but however, nobody challenged him in that late spot, and that maybe is a touch bit of my worry because, yes, maiden special weights can be tougher in New York as in comparison to perhaps some of them here. But these other runners have been running at Stakes Company, and Subsidize has not. I definitely think he's going to have to be handily placed from that outside gate, and he did take a couple of tries to break his maiden, but the lights seem to have gone on. Now, interesting though, if you're looking at what Chad Brown has won here at Laurel Park, he's won the All Along Stakes last year with Nay Lady Nay, he's won multiple graded stakes here, and his percentage in graded stakes no, in stakes, excuse me, is still at 29%, so very strong. And of course, Subsidize, he did get a work in as well on the 14th of February at Belmont over 4 furlongs, because they were still training up at Belmont, which gets me back quickly to May the Horse Be With You, because I forgot to note that Brittany Russell did bring her stakes runners over to Pimlico to continue training as well.
Which was a smart move on Brittany's part. There's a couple things that not quite red flag about Subsidize, but for those that don't know, Chad has a string running at the championship meet down in Florida. This horse isn't there, which to me, and this horse also started out at Monmouth, which to me means that Chad is doing his best to try and get this horse some black type for his owner. Again, the big red flag for me is that this horse has an outside position. Now, normally this can be a good thing, but sometimes horses can not care as much or be a little bit more lackadaisy when there's no outside pressure coming from them in a race, which is why the light kind of switched on in his last start, because he was on the inside. So when they're on the outside, there's really nothing to keep them on their toes. So if they're just following a horse to their inside, they're most likely to hang, which might be what happens today. He'll join the others, but can he move past them without any pressure from the outside? That's my big question about him.
Yeah, very good point you made there. And just talking about Chad Brown's strings that he has up in New York as well as at Gulfstream, indeed, he is just trying to possibly steal some black type here for Subsidize, and he is 8-5 on the board. Both of us try to beat him here because of the aforementioned reasons. As we'll move towards the inside, jumping from the rail is Tis Mandate for trainer Damon Di Lodovico, the lightliest raced runner in this field, and he will be the one that seems to benefit from the fact that there are a couple of speed horses in here that might set it up for him, because in his last run in the Spectacular Bid, absolutely not disgraced, made a good run down the lane. Now, Kenny had a notion, May the Horse Be With You, were well gone, but clearly a horse that's going in the right direction. I mean, his second start in his life was in the Heft Stake, then his Spectacular Bid. Damon Di Lodovico is not the type of trainer that would put a horse in if he didn't believe that they had a chance to win that race. Is working very well at home. That one flat for the 5 furlongs is very, very sharp. Now, he is, of course, by Strong Man, the Grade 1 hopeful winner, who has good percentages with routers and sprinters thus far. 16% winners going long, 15% winners over the short distance. So a horse that I think is on the up and perhaps is your price play to use. He's 10-1 morning line, but I think everyone's catching on to him at 7-2 at present. And then the number 2 New Year's Block Party is one that actually was flagged up earlier this morning by voice of Maryland Racing, Dave Rotman. Comes in here for Anthony Pecoraro. Charlie Marquez takes the ride. Very strong effort last time out in the Pasco Stakes over 7 furlongs at Tampa. We saw him here at Laurel Park October last year when he ran third to the ever-improving Jackson Traveler. New Year's Block Party, certainly another horse that possibly can jump up at a price here. Currently the largest value to be found on the board in the field at 8-1. As we see riders heading out for the first of 6 stakes races on the day. The Miraclewood Stakes over the 1-turn flat mile. Of course, don't forget, next race also the start of the Rainbow Pick 6. And good luck to all connections here. Fun race to kick things off with. That's quite the wonderful start of the day for Team Russell. Sheldon Russell aboard. May the Horse Be With You. Brittany Russell trains one of 3 of her stakes runners on this day, and boy was he impressive stretching out to the mile.
Just as we kind of all predicted, just with the way he performed last time, and just big kudos to Sheldon. I loved what he did in the first part of the race. Broke him out well and then just slowed it down for the first bit of it, and gave himself every advantage.
Yeah, he certainly did. As we move on to our second stakes race here, the John B. Campbell going a mile and 16. 4th race of the day, meaning Rainbow Pick 6 time. $4,889 in the pot. I created a ticket today. Cheap cheap ticket to start with, $8.40. I go 4 deep in this event. I use the 1, the 3, the 6, and the 8. And then in the next race, I'm banking on either the best closer or the best speed filly to win the Nelly Moss. Number 1, Landing Zone, is the speed, and the number 9, Lucky Stride for Michael Trombetta, is the closer. And then in race 6, I use the 2, the 3, and the 5. The 5, Street Lead, of course, the filly that we're all looking towards will take a fair bit of money. I'm trying to see if the number 2, Salt Plat, or number 3, Fall in Charge, might be an upset, but I do have Street Lead on top. Race 7, my single, no pressure there, Sheldon or Brittany. Hello, Beautiful. I would love for her to get her first graded stakes win on board, and I think that she can best these, but it is going to be tough. A proper race coming up. Race 8, I use the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4 in the General George Stakes, and I advise you, if you have an opinion there, to go with your price horses, because this is wide open. I think this is going to be a very, very tough race. Funny Guy will most likely be the favorite and take the majority of the money, but there are a couple of horses lurking in the shadows with certainly figures to match him. Race number 9, hoping to finish the day on a winner there. I used the 1 and the 4. As I said, $38 ticket, 40 to get your day going, and you can add horses as you wish. As we'll kick things off here with race number 4, and that is your current favorite, the number 8, Bankit, coming into this. John B. Campbell for Hall of Fame trainer Steve Asmussen. A nice fresh horse coming into this, 63 days away from the track. He got the chance to actually get a work in up at Belmont, where they continued training, 3 furlongs, 38-1, just nice maintenance work. And this is a horse that comes in here on the back of an Alex M. Robb win that was very, very strong, which we do have a video of as well. You can see him being behind the pace there. Now, the horse that he turned away in that field is a very, very good New York bred runner in Mr. Buff, who then came back to win the Jazeel Stakes next time out at Aqueduct over a mile and 8 with a near career best buyer of 102. So clearly no pushover at all, Mr. Buff. But there comes Bankit on the outside with a very, very game close. Really high class performance there. I just love the way that this horse can rattle off very strong splits, but have enough left to come with a very strong kick that I think is going to put him in wonderful stead here today. Your 4 to 5 favorite, which I think is very, very valid in this spot. And then as we move on towards the inside here, the number 3, 6-1 on the board for Cordmaker, a 6-year-old gelding that runs his race and turns up every single time. However, last time out once again got into trouble, and that's maybe perhaps my drawback with him. He always seems to find something that's going on in front of him, that stalking running style. He just gets into a pocket sometimes. However, that race, Victor did stand up at the first wire there before continuing riding. I don't think he would have gotten past Galerio or Tattooed that day, but he did have a bit more left in the tank. And Victor is aboard here again, and this is a horse that I feel like he has a very strong relationship with, and it's just such a strong runner. And Callie, you have him on top in here. I use him underneath, but you go with a nice price play there, 7-1.
You know, I noticed immediately when in the Jennings that something was just off about this pair. Just, I want to say an eighth, almost an eighth after the gates opened. You know, talking to jockey Victor Carrasco, he put the mess out of his mind, which he had I could immediately see what was going on there, because he did get frustrated from the on-go. I look for patterns, and I'm noticing a pattern with this horse. He's just a horse that kind of knows where the real fight is, which is at the stretch and around the elbow of that quarter turn. That's where he likes to make his move. That's where he likes to put his focus on. Once he gets into that pocket, that fight, he can become very disinterested in any type of fight, drama, or battle anytime before that. If there's no room for him to make his sweeping move, he shuts off, and I think Victor knows that, and again, I think he's put the whole business out of his mind, and he's ready to roll today.
I much would love to see him return to the winner's circle, a horse that always performs and really runs up to his form the majority of the races. Now, the number 6, Dixie Draw, 7-2 on the board here. I did get the chance to actually have a chat with trainer Dale Capuano on how Dixie Draw has been doing coming into this race.
His regular routine, he just usually gallops, some long gallops, and we had a blowout yesterday with him, sharpen him back up a bit, and he's ready to go. I'm not too concerned. I mean, this horse, he's a funny horse in the fact that you have to get him running early, and he just maintains that pace. If you let him start off slow, he seems to stay slow the whole race. If you get him going quick, he seems to be able to keep going. So it's all with getting him on the bit and aggressive early. Well, with him, it's pretty much, you can tell his last 3 or 4 races, it's always aggressive leaving the gate. So we'll be aggressive to the turn, and we'll see what happens after that.
It was quite clear there what the plans are going to be for the number 6 Dixie Draw, and that is be aggressive, move forward, and make him continue at that high cruising speed that he is capable of going at. And this is a gelding that I completely fell in love with him in his last race, that 2 other than optional claiming level, going a mile and 1/8, because he ran into that first corner 4 wide. There was a lot going on that day, went forward, and then absolutely basically took off there. Incredible fractions that he said. I thought to myself, that mile and 8 distance, he can't keep this up, but he did. Swan song that day, 93 Bayer career best. Just so much respect for him. Now, however, I was wondering, is he going to bounce from that race? Is he going to struggle coming back with that performance, as well as cutting back in the mile and 16 distance? Now, Dale assured me that he came out of it wonderfully well, and that he kind of 2-minute licked him in the week that we had in between when the race were moved, so that possibly this is actually better for him, because last time when he ran on the over the mile and 16 distance, that was on sloppy ground, and Dale was mentioning that he just didn't think that that was his thing. So it was actually better for him that the races were moved to today, because now we're running on a fast track. And Callie, I know you included him underneath as well.
You know, let's add to the fact that when this horse won twice in a row, one of them was at this distance and ran a similar performance in both races. You know, Dale kind of, I noticed immediately watching this horse run that that's what jockey Jorge Ruiz has to do. He has to hustle this horse out of the gate. It doesn't matter if you're 5 wide, 4 wide going into that first turn. That horse will keep cruising, and nothing. And as long as he doesn't get into trouble, nothing will stop him. And with an outside post position in the 6 hole, I think that's just going to benefit him all the more.
And towards the rail is the number 1 Zabracadabra, who's most likely going to be one of the main pace influences as well. I mean, you have to go to the front from that inside draw over the mile and 16. Quick turnaround here, quick 3-week turnaround, excuse me here. Javian Toledo takes the ride, and this is a gelding that can clearly make on the lead, which is exactly what he did 2 starts ago over this distance on the sloppy ground. And it was a tough race for him last time out. He was drawn wide. There was lots of speed on his inside. There was a ferocious pace that he got stuck in, and he just didn't have enough to hold off a closer late. But I feel like this could be his race to come in back into form here. 9-1 on the board as riders are heading out for the post parade for the John B. Campbell. Good luck. Bankett stays away from a good pace and runs them all down the stretch in the John B. Campbell for a nice $5.40 on the Steve Asmussen trainee that got the chance to still see the track as frequently up in New York.
You know, I think this speaks a lot to just this horse's overall 2020 campaign. I mean, he kept getting put against these great fields, and the horse kills still kept plugging away. So I think hopefully for all of us in 2021, it becomes a better year than 2020.
Exactly. Now, Bankett, of course, makes that 2 wins on the day for jockey Sheldon Russell. Excuse me, I just choked myself beforehand by accident and sounding a little bit strange, but Sheldon Russell getting this day off to a wonderful start. As we'll move on to the Nelly Moore Stakes, fillies and mares, 4-year-old and upward, going a mile and 16. And Callie, both you and I see this very, very similar, going towards the outside here in a lucky stride for trainer Michael Trombetta. We do have a video of her last start here at Laurel Park as well in the 38 Go-Go, where you can see that she doesn't have that much early speed, and she ends up mid-pack on the rail. She's right there, sort of kind of stuck. Julian had to take her back a few times, had to wait, and then kind of the gap opens up and you see her getting out in the clear here on the home turn. She was just gliding around the field with ease. Excuse me. She just hung a touch left here. You can see her here moving in on the other horse, but that late acceleration was very, very strong behind Eris 2, who had the jump on her, who's actually one of the wonderful mares that has been running so strongly here. She's in the Delta later today at Gulfstream Park as well. And of course, Eris 2, after that race, the 38 Gogo, she came back to win the Alain Dupont, the grade 3, next time out here at Laurel Park. Now, at first, on face value, I thought there was going to be plenty of speed for Lucky Strike to run into, but there's been, a couple of scratches here. Take out the number 10, Dreamer's Moon, as well as the number 3, Greystown, who possibly means that there's a little bit less speed, and I know that she loves running into a good pace. Now, she has done so phenomenally for trainer Michael Trombetta, who's been on an absolute roll since we went from 20 to 2021, and you mentioned how and this is a new year for all of us. Well, Michael Trombetta certainly has hit the ground running, not just here, but in other spots as well. And when she came to his barn in the summer of 2020, ever since, she has been performing like an absolute rock star for him. Just moved up and has done so well and developed herself. Now a 5-year-old mare. And I do like the outside draw here, even though we have that quick bend coming up. But she's a closer. She's not going to be stuck in a pace duel whatsoever. She's just going to slide in and hope they move forward and can lead the way for. And one horse that might just do that is the number 1, Landing Zone, who is drawn on the rail, who will be forced to move forward. But that's also something that she's done frequently with success throughout her career. She is getting a little bit warm there in the paddock. This filly here, it's not that warm here today, so that's not as encouraging. But I think the cutback suits her from going the mile in the 8th to the mile and 16, and she was well placed early in that grade 3 Alain Dupont, and she moved to challenge the leader that day. Need Supervision was trying to show the way. She just tired a little bit in the stretch. I think she does have to come back with a little bit more verve late. But interestingly, in that race, I do wonder if it just set up for closers over that Mount 8, because the 2 most forwardly placed horses in that spot didn't last, and the horses coming from behind, like Eris 2, like Wicked Awesome, did much better in that particular case. But in her advantage here for the number 1, Landing Zone, as I mentioned, the 3's out, the 10's out, a little bit less speed pressure here, and she might just be able to kind of rock it up front. What do you think, Callie?
Well, let me kind of answer that for you a bit. So in her last run, looking at her in the gate from the head-on shot, she wasn't actually squared that straight. She was off-center, aimed to the right, where she did bump into the horse on her outside. So ever since that happened in that race, I could read her body language that it put her off kilter right away and really resulted in a flat performance. When they kind of use that as an excuse to not run enthusiastically towards the future, this is the horse speaking to you. The horse will always tell you what's going on, and it's just a matter of listening to them. And I think that's what Gonzalez and his team have done today. I'm actually really like how Claudio has given her some proper time off. Just with watching her past couple races, that's what's been needed.
Yeah, and last time that we saw her at the racetrack was on the 26th of December. So now making her 4-year-old debut, and indeed it can work very, very well for this filly to just have a couple of months away from the track and gather themselves back up again and try again. The number 6, Wicked Awesome, I just mentioned her earlier. She comes in here for Ferris Allen. Horatio Caramanas remains on board. And last time out, she came out of that same race as Landing Zone. She got the perfect setup, it feels, that perfect sort of gradual getting into the race. She ran good splits. I liked her late kick, but she does have to reproduce that and needs sort of that all to go in a similar fashion to be victorious. But it's not to say that that wouldn't happen here with the speed on her inside.
I think that was a decent ride that she got last time, but what I really think she needs is the ride that she got in the Twist Stakes, and that was absolutely perfect for her in every way. Just when she gets into these tougher races, she actually loves an inside trip. So Caramanos will just need to take every advantage he can get for himself. If he can just wait a hair with her, I just think she has a bigger turn of foot than what it looks like. And then again, as Dave was saying, just while she was second in the Alain Dupont Stakes, the winner is in a grade 3 at Gulfstream, and that field actually came up pretty tough. So while it's a question mark of how all those horses are going to come out of that Alain Dupont race, I'm pretty sure I'm confident in what she competed with against last time is going to stack up her well in this group today.
Yeah, current favoritism still on the number 9 Lucky Stride, 4-5. As we move on to the number 4 Lucky Move, another Lucky in here. And look back at her running line. She ran up at Aqueduct in the ladies' stakes up there, and look who she ran behind, Miss Marissa, who of course was the Grade 2 Black Eyed Susan winner last year. And this is a mare that comes in here with a blistering work from Parks, 15th of February, 4 furlongs in 47 and 1. Clearly, the age is not getting to her whatsoever.
So the 47 and 1 does worry me a bit. I always worry about horses that put in these crazy works right before they run, so that had me worried a little bit. So, Johan is on her. Actually, Johan's dad has won on this horse last June, so I'm sure Johan has got the lowdown from his dad on how this horse works, especially when he ran her in a lifetime performance. An unusual observation that I have about this filly is that she's a bit lofty in the front, which in best short terms, I can just say a bit higher knee joint and joint action. It's not a bad thing, but the smart thing to do, normally you want to ride a race at a furlong at a time, but I have a feeling that Johan is going to start thinking about the finish line right around the half-mile pole. That's where she really gets her gears going. So just making sure she has some clarity once she gets out of that four-post position.
Well, in terms of her physical appearance, she does look like that two-turn mare that has got, a lot of length, a lot of scope, a lot of reach to her, and it does take longer to get going, but it also means that they can see out that long straight here at Laurel Park quite nicely as we're waiting for a rider's up call here. 5 minutes to post. We're on the Nelly Moors. Of course, this is race number 5, meaning that we also start the late pick 5 sequence, 12% industry low. Take out $50 minimum bet. Go to laurelpark.com to check out my selections, and of course go to first.com/bet and download the First Bet app as the official wagering partner of the Maryland Jockey Club. We see fillies and mares just heading out to the track, and as you can see, it's been an absolutely beautiful day. The sun's shining, the track's fast, it's been playing evenly. We've seen very good performances already and plenty more in store, so stay with us and good luck to everyone in this race. Lucky Stride rewards the bettors being the heavy favorite and finding the wire first for trainer Michael Trombetta, Julian Pimentel, right? And she was a fair bit closer than she's been in her last couple of starts, which I thought was very interesting, but it suited her well, allowed her to hold off all foes, notably Landing Zone, who came back from being less than fourthly placed.
Landing Zone benefited from the time off that Claudio gave her, and what I did notice earlier, two things I noticed about Lucky Stride before coming into this race. I loved how Julian rode her 2 races back, and he rode her pretty much the exact same way. And then in the Wayward Last Stakes, they opened up in 46, so this filly ended up going into the half-mile pole 4 wide, and by the time they got to the top of the stretch, she was 7-8 wide, and she still cleared the field, so that didn't concern me at all.
No, it was a very game performance from this filly who's done nothing but deliver for trainer Michael Trombetta, as we'll continue putting a couple of other ladies in the spotlight in terms of the 3-year-old fillies. And there is the queen herself. Street Loot Wide Country Stakes is coming up. 7 furlongs to go. And Street Loot, well, if Hello Beautiful is the older darling of Maryland, I'd say Street Loot was the 2-year-old filly that made a name for herself. She is looking for her 5th win in a row, and she's a neck close to being unbeaten. She's only been bested once, and that was last year in October. She's danced every single dance. She can lead, she can stalk, she can take a tight gap, she can duel, and she just puts her heart and soul in. She's very, very game fit. And what I've been told by Jerry Robb on some of her chats about her is that she's quite a feisty filly. She has attitude, she wants to train, she has a temperament. And looking at the way that she's developed, she's always the early 2-year-old last year. But she's made a great start to her 3-year-old campaign on the 16th of January in the extra heat. However, there is going to be some pace pressure in here. Now, she's had that before, so it's up to the X-Men to kind of decide if she wants to be on the lead once again or kind of sit back and rate like she's shown to be able to. But this is going to be a test for her. There are a few up-and-comers in here. They're going to try and best her, including the number 3 fraudulent charge, who came so agonizingly close to her last time out in the gin talking. As I mentioned, number 3 fraudulent charge is one of 2 horses to come that close to her, and there's a lot of speed signed on in this race, and fraudulent charge will get to go and hear from trainer Lacey Godet, who kind of gives us the lowdown on how she's been doing and how her campaign has been.
She was a gate scratch the first time we let her over there. We spent a lot of time at the gate. The gate crew did a fantastic job getting her really comfortable back there. She ran lights out when she did get back for her debut win. If she could run as good or better as she did last time, that would be fantastic for us. We're just looking to get her back over there and continue to get some races in her. We'd love to see her go longer, but winter racing, we've just kind of been a little bit of a victim of that. So as long as she has a good trip and tries as hard as she did last time, we'll be happy with that. Again, we really didn't think that she was going to run that good. We've always liked her, but she definitely ran huge last time. She's matured since then, she's grown since then, and she's just going into this race fantastically. So I know there's speed. I don't think that she'll be speed. She's kind of a little different from the other filly. Johan says that she's very push button, so I think that he'll be able to rate her a little bit behind the speed, and if she can make that run like she did last time, I think she'll be very dangerous.
Push button, isn't that a term we absolutely love for these higher class race horses? And fraudulent charge, very unexposed with only her 2 starts. Johan saying that she can come with that late closing run. There is a fair bit of speed sign on. How do you see it develop here, Callie?
So you got the lowdown from Lacey. I got the lowdown from Johan earlier last week. They have such high hopes for this filly. I am in love with this filly. I think she's a versatile girl that's just gunning for the future. I don't think they're ready to stretch her out long yet. I think the 7 hits her. I think the 7's going to hit her right on the nose today. She just has to run exactly like she did in the gin talking. I mean, that was a winning type run. She just happened to be second. Again, she's still a little bit green. There's plenty of room to go from here, which Lacey gave us an indication that she has matured, so that means that she got so much out of the gin talking last time, and I see big things for this filly. I'm very excited to see it. I don't see her anywhere near the speed today.
Yeah, she's bound to move forward with only 2 starts under her belt. But Callie, if you love her, why didn't you put her on top?
Well, as you mentioned, we have Hello Beautiful as the queen, but right now Street Loot is the princess, and I'm not going to dethrone. I'm in no mood to dethrone today.
I think that is a wonderful way of putting it. As we move on to the number 2, Soul Pledge. 3-1 on the board comes in here for Linda Rice. Yet another filly with 2 starts under her belt. And Linda has had many runners at Laurel Park. She's got an overall record of 28% winners and 60% in the money overall. However, in stakes company, just only a touch lower, 5 from 25, 20% winner, so clearly very competitive. And in her last race, she actually ran into slow midsections, then had to steady and wait for a good half furlong before being able to sort of stretch out and go into the clear. We see her right there behind sort of a wall of horses, and what we kind of miss is that she actually waited a fair bit longer behind it, but then she goes up full wide and absolutely starts pouring it on. What did you make of this performance?
So I watching the whole race. I was just so highly impressed. I'm highly impressed with this filly, which is why I have her in second today. Because we cut to right after the half mile, but she didn't really make a move. She rebroke at the half mile, and then she rebroke again at the quarter. It's easy for people to see, oh, she's run at Parks, let's discount that. The quality of that race actually came up pretty decent. So I just very impressed by this filly with how she keeps continuing to charge on. And again, I like to watch the gallop outs. I was very impressed with her gallop out. She did everything very easy. The rider did not have to do much.
She looked very comfortable indeed, and she's out of a deep female family. French Saturn was the Grade 3 Florida Oaks winner, and 3 out of 8 siblings has placed or won a stake, placed in graded stakes or won a stake, and she's a full brother to Long Hole Bay, who won the Grade 3 Bay Shore over this distance at Aqueduct. And Linda Rice trained that runner as well. She clearly has intimate knowledge of the family, which puts her in great stead here as we move towards towards a little bit more the outside. Number 7, Little Huntress. Brittany Russell trains. Of course, Sheldon Russell is already having quite the banner day, and this is a filly that broke her maiden in quite impressive style. She's lightly raced, but that was such a huge performance. Bounced from the gate, put on a show. Her fakes make her very dangerous. This is going to be first time Lasix. She is one of the speed influences. Do you see her going straight to the lead?
Absolutely. This is, the princess needs a challenge, and this is the filly that's going to challenge her. While her win, it wasn't impressive, it maybe came a bit too easy last time out. Interestingly, she's been entered for Aqueduct twice, had a trainer scratch. Since the scratch was just recently on the 9th, I have to guess maybe perhaps that race she might have been, Brittany was eyeing for either one or the other, and she just happened to go with here today since it was entered for the same distance. It doesn't concern me, but I just thought I would have to point that out. I actually noticed this filly in the morning. I watch her in the morning, and she is just as feisty. You mentioned that Street Loot is very feisty. She is just as feisty as well. She's this spunky little thing. She has a tall exercise rider to keep her on task, and I don't think she'll be backing down. This filly's personality is way too spicy to not back down.
As we see runners heading out towards the track, quick note, the number 4, 17-1 on Miss Leslie, your Anne Arundel County winner. Perhaps the price play in this field as we're looking at the post parade. Good luck, all. Maryland star filly Hello Beautiful is bidding to extend her 3-win streak in the Grade 3 Run Happy Barbara Fritchie, having started 2021 with a victory in the Water Summer Stakes. However, a deep field awaits her, including the very fast Don't Let Sweet Fool Ya.
She has matured. She matured a lot as a 3-year-old from her 2-year-old season, and that showed on her form last year. So hopefully she can start off her 4-year-old season the right way. And she's doing everything right. We stayed course, and we went through the races that we had hoped to hit, and we said that this was going to be our ultimate goal. So we're here. She's ready, and she's doing great. So it's time to test her. We drew inside of a lot of the speed, so I think that we're just gonna. The last couple of races, I've left it up to Toledo, and he came and galloped her yesterday, and today, and she just does whatever he wants her to. So I think I'm just going to leave it up to him. I know Hello Beautiful has a lot of speed. I don't think she's the only one, but I do think that we'll definitely be the pace, the two of us, and we'll see how they fare. I mean, it takes a little bit of the pressure off because we know where she's going to be. We're not going to change her tactics in this race. Look, we're going into the race confident, and we know that we have a nice filly, and I think that it's just going to be fun from here on out. And if she wins, great. I mean, it's not going to take anything away from her if she gets beat, but to go for I think that would make it 6 in a row and get a graded stake under her belt, that would be fantastic.
A pace battle between the 8 Hello Beautiful and the 3 Don't Let Sweet Fool You would be quite enticing indeed, as we just saw Street Loot absolutely dominate in the wide country. I mean, that was such a performance, and we were wondering if she could do it, but she overcame adversity to really, really stamp herself as Maryland's leading 3-year-old filly.
There were plenty of questions. They were all answered. I don't think anybody's going to have any more questions about her in the very near future. Well done. I thought great ride by Xavier. I mean, he just sat back, read the situation in front of him like a book, and just turned the page and kept going.
The first graded stakes of the day is coming on us ever so shortly, 13 minutes to post for the grade 3 run happy bobber Fritchie. Let's kick things off here with the number 8, your current heavy 3 to 5 favorite, the stunning Hello Beautiful. She's 7 from 7 at law. She's 3 from 4 over 7 furlongs, and according to Brittany Russell, she has been training like, I quote, a bear. So doing absolutely phenomenal, jumping out of her skin. Now is looking for that elusive first graded stakes win. Both trainer Brittany Russell and filly Hello Beautiful are. And we do have I think a video replay as well of her, I thought, best race of her career, and that was in the Safely Kept Stakes over this distance 2 starts back, and you can see her there going with speed influence, long shot 30 to 1 Fly on Angel, who is very, very fast early, but Hello Beautiful is just as fast. And that day she showed that she's not a one-trick pony just needing the lead. She can stalk and sort of very comfortable wait before getting the from Sheldon and kicking clear like she did just then. I thought that was a push button victory and was phenomenal. And she's bested a couple of graded stakes performance in that race as well as last time out. And it feels like this is a filly that ever since her Maryland Million distaff has come into peak form. But this is the question: how is the pace going to develop? Is Hello Beautiful going to pressure the number 3 Don't Let Sweet Fool Ya on the inside? And Lacey Godet was mentioning they're very clear what they're going to do with Don't Let Sweet Fool Ya, and that is move to the front. And she is very fast and definitely going to be receive that pressure from Hello Beautiful. And the number 3 Don't Let Sweet Fool You is looking for a 6th victory in a row, and Lacey Godet's also looking for that first graded stakes victory. So a couple of wonderful storylines going into this, Callie.
You know, excuse me. While you think she ran her lifetime best in the Safely Kept Stakes, I thought the Water Summer Stakes was actually a graded stake worthy performance in itself. I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's a question. I think Hello Beautiful is the faster, quicker horse, even out of the gate. I don't think it's going to be Hello Beautiful putting pressure on Don't Let Sweet Fool You. I think Don't Let Sweet Fool You is going to do everything that she needs to do to keep up with Hello Beautiful. Don't Let Sweet Fool You will need to run a similar race when she first broke her maiden on the 24th of July. So we're going to need that type of performance in order to compete with Hello Beautiful today.
And she is actually a filly that has taken her time to sort of develop and mature. She does have a friend in form of a little goat in her stable to just kind of keep her a touch bit more quiet, because she has been nervous before, but according to trainer Lacey Godet, she's really, really sort of settled down into herself here, and she's looking poised to strike here in this spot. Now, I kind of disagree with you though, Callie. I think Don't Let Sweet Fool Ya is sort of drawn to go forward, hug the rail, and then I'd say Hello Beautiful comes in and sort of makes her move, but we'll see how it will develop. On the inside of Don't Let Sweet Fool Ya is the number 2 Club Car, who I use underneath, and you use her in second. Now, this is a very honest mare. She has track experience, both solid efforts when coming down here, and this is a deep closer that was sort of double digits back and split horses around the turn in the Water Summer Stakes. Probably was a little bit further back than she would have liked, and I think she can be the one to really benefit from these two speed fillies possibly going strong up front.
And she will, absolutely she will. I have been on this filly since her run in the What a Summer Stakes, and I have to tell you, she's one of these long going strided. Her momentum cannot be broken, and the best way to do that is to come from behind, and I think that's going to be the same point today. I think, to be honest, rewatching the What a Summer Stakes again, if that excuse me, wire would have gone on a couple of more strides, Club Car would have probably gotten Hello Beautiful. She was coming up close, and I just think this distance hits her absolutely perfectly.
And filly getting quite some value here on our 7-1, 3-1 morning line. Sharp Star, the number 1, piqued my interest as well. I use her in my exact. Huge work coming into this, and she won by a panel at Aqueduct, so up in New York 3 starts ago, and then showed she has graded stakes potential and credential now when winning the grade 3 go for 1 over Ermau on the slobby surfaces Aqueduct. So that certainly was her test, and she was in deep waters that day, but she showed showed that she can do very, very well. And the interesting story behind her here is that she's coming from the Belmont Park barn of Horatio de Paz, and he was a former private trainer for Maryland's Sagamore Farm, so it certainly would be a wonderful sort of homecoming for them if they win the Grade 3 Barbara Fritchie today. Another filly that piqued your interest, I don't use her myself, is the number 7, Needs Supervision, who last time out in the Interborough up at Aqueduct certainly did very, very strongly as well.
So, being in the O'Dwyer barn every day, I get to see how this filly is going, and Jerry's thrilled with her. And then let's talk about the fact that they're running this without Lasix today. This is the only filly in this field to run without Lasix, and she did last time out up in New York, and she was a decent second. So while I think this is a very tough field, I do think this filly is well and good enough and proven enough to definitely get a piece of it. And talking to jockey Fergal Lynch last week, I know that he's going to benefit from the speed going in front of him because she seems to love drama and loves a little bit of a fight. So he's going to do what he can to keep her tucked in until he has to pull her out and ask her to run.
Has been bested by Don't Let Sweet Fool You in the past, but I like that angle of a filly having run up in New York without Lasix and now here once again, because in our graded stakes races we do not run on it. The number 7 Needs Supervision, and as you mentioned, Fergal Lynch, we said it before, he came back with a win on his second mount after 200 days away due to injury, so he is definitely poised to get a couple of wins on board here, as they're about 6 minutes to post waiting for the riders up call of the 2021 renewal of the Grade 3 Run Happy Barbara Fritchie, where all eyes are going to be on the number 8 Hello Beautiful for Brittany Russell, currently 4-5 on the board. I think she can get it done. She's my single on my Rainbow Pick 6 ticket, but she's going to have to work for it, and you can tell that the public's view means that the public agrees with me here, thinking that she can certainly get it done. But the money is going towards the number 3 Don't Let Sweet Fool You as well, which is the very fast filly trained here by Lacey Godet, and I spoke with both Lacey and Brittany Russell beforehand, both immense respect for each other and wonderful up and coming trainers here in the Mid-Atlantic region, so both very deserving of the win, and I can't wait to see this renewal as we're about 5 minutes to post. Good luck to all involved. Quite the upset here in the Grade 3 Run Happy Barbara Fritchie. Hibiscus Bunch punches her ticket at $85.60. Horatio Caramano makes that a third victory in the Grade 3 Barbara Fritchie, and a fast graded 6 victory for trainer Justin Nixon. I knew there were a few trainers going in here looking for that victory, and he's got it on board now, but wow, she got that perfect sort of stalking trip behind the two fillies going hard up front.
I couldn't believe how easy she made it look, winning. But, you know, as I brought up earlier, this was without Lasix. That can change a lot of things for a lot of these horses, and that proved it today. We had a bunch of long shots hit the board today in the Barbara Fritchie.
Yeah, certainly it was a very intriguing race where the two top contenders, Don't Let Sweet Fool You and Hello Beautiful, didn't manage to get place after indeed setting fast splits up the front. But let's move on to our second graded stakes race of the day, the Grade 3 General George. And on there you see the horse that is on the rail. That is Lakai here before I go on about the wrong race. Lakai comes in here for Damon Lodovico, a horse that worked very, very sharply, 46 and 2, and this was something that Dave and I were discussing, because Damon isn't the type of trainer to make them go that fast early in the morning, making me think that this horse is clearly feeling very well in himself. And Dave mentioned he looked at all the fractions for that day. No other horse ran even below 47 on that track, first from 89 works, and this is a gelding that has been such a mainstay for the Damon Lodovico stable. He gave him his first ever graded stakes win in the De Francis Dash at Pimlico last year. I do wonder if there is enough pace in this for him, because I feel like he enjoys kind of sitting back and getting into stride before making his move.
You know, I don't think that's going to be an issue today. What my biggest issue I was worried about was the one post, because he's just been getting such bad luck lately. So I let out a small groan when I heard that, but then I actually did some research on his lifetime performances. Every time he comes out of the one hole, he's either winning or he's second. So he definitely needs to be in your exacta box. I just think that he is going to get the break that he needed to get. Coming out from that one position is Caramanos is definitely going to have options when because it plays differently when you come across that chute.
And the number 4, Majestic Dunhill, currently 92, is my top selection in here. Of course, 5-1 on Callie's top selection in Lakai, who I absolutely love underneath as well. Certainly a veteran runner, 8-year-old, that is not done at all just yet. Majestic Dunhill comes in for trainer George Weaver. And this is a gelding that had won the City of Light here at Laurel Park over this distance in 2018, or that was as a 3-year-old. And then George Weaver won this race in 2005 with Saratoga County. Javier Castellano was on board. Now, Majestic Dunhill tried the General George in 2019, ran second that day to Uncontested, who ran very, very strongly up front, and Majestic Dunhill came off the pace. I do think he was helped by the strong pace set by that high-class leader that day. But if you look back at how he's coming into this race, 3 starts back, he won the Grade 3 Bold Rule. Now, granted, that was a smaller sized field up at Belmont on that muddy track that day. He sat behind his speed, but then he tipped out and he ran down Share the Ride, who's reopposing here, and got him on the wire. Now, last 2 starts, you could say, yes, he hasn't been running up to that sharp form, those high 90s and even the 100 career best buyer. But last time out in the Grade 3 Mr. Prospector at Goshen Park, it just felt like a little bit of a sort of speed bumper cars that day. He really got tossed about. And then 2 starts back, he stumbled out the gate after having played up in it before. So I think for him today is getting a clean break, getting a good position, and then coming with that nice, strong late run. But I like him as a price play. 10-1 on the morning line. Has been receiving money at present, 9-2. I still hope we can get a little bit of value here. As you see, Brittany Russell actually saddling here for George Weaver. He's been in her barn throughout his time here. As we'll move on to the horse on his inside, the number 3 Lebda comes in here for our leading trainer Claudio Gonzalez. 3rd time start as a gelding. I feel like he has a good draw to be more forwardly placed once again. And I caught up with Claudio earlier, who said that this horse really likes the winter.
This horse is really special, because he's like, he do everything right, and I believe the summer, he not like too much, because soon when the cold come back, he start to run good, better, and he love here, Laurel. I believe that is the key for him. He come back really good, he breathed the other day really easy, and every day he look better and better. We wish run like that. I like outside positions, inside I don't like too much, even if you have a speed horse, because no matter what, if somebody else go with you, you have to rush it. And outside you do anything you want if you clear, but we want to try to be clear as soon as possible, and we'll see what happens.
They're going to be aggressive with Lebda and move forward from that 3 gate. And on his inside is your current favorite, Funny Guy. 2-1 on the board on this John Terranova trainee, who ran very strongly in the Say Florida Sandy. We'll also have a replay of his start 2 starts ago in the New York Stallions series, where he split horses, and he does get the run later on, going through them so gamely. And I think notable here is, as you see, the number 5, so that's number 3 right there, Funny Guy, but the number 5 Bankit in front of him right there came back here today and won the John B. Campbell earlier on the card. And Funny Guy managed to, under a heavy drive from Joel Rosario here, run them all down, including my boy Tate as well, in a very, very strong performance in that New York Stallion series. And in the Say Florida Sandy, he was asked to go forward, kind of drops back after kind of having jumped very strongly and then comes back, but he does get that perfectly even race trip, goes 3 wide, just didn't have enough kick left that day to hold off a deep closer, but clearly comes in here in terrific form. As we'll move on towards the outside here, the number 10 Tattooed Timothy Keefe trainee Angel Cruz ride, and he got a win last time out in the Jennings, which was a first win in a long time, aside from the fact that in August in 27 he was moved up for a DQ. But this is a horse that I was jokingly saying a couple of times throughout his racing career that he runs up to his form every single time. He tries every single time, but never was able to get into the winner's circle. Well, he turned that all upside down last time out with a strong closing effort here. And Callie, you have interest in him.
It's an interesting choice that Tim didn't put him in the longer stakes today, but I'm still intrigued enough. Angel's objective with this horse is to just get this horse more forwardly placed, because while this is a 7 furlong, it's more a sprinting 7 furlong, and I think that really needs to be paid attention to. When I say that the opening pace will be quicker and will likely stay that big of a finishing speed than the front runner horses, it will be hard for him to catch up. So I have to put a little faith in Angel today, and we'll see what happens.
And he's currently 12 to 1, and it feels like this General George Stakes today is shaping up to be one that could unearth yet another long shot winner. We saw Hibiscus Punch, a big prize early, but the rest of the day has been very, very formful. I feel that this is the opportunity to go with a price pay, and the number 10 to 2 is currently 12 to 1 on the board. The number 6, Share the Ride. See, this was tough for me. I had him on my ticket, and then I had him off my ticket, and ended up going with a couple more price horses. Currently 5 to 1 on the board here for Miguel Penaloza. Victor Carrasco rides. I feel like he's going to be well placed early and still has a kick. And if you look back at some of his strongest races, he does love being on the lead, but he can kind of still stalk as well. Where do you think he'll be placed today?
You know, the toboggan really impressed me last time just because he had to go 4 wide. He chased, not only did he have to go 4 wide, but he chased 4 wide the entire way around and still kept on. So I just think the heart class on this horse is going to supersede over what his odds are right now.
His odds are currently 5 to 1. I do think that might drop down a little bit. Hasn't won yet in Laurel from 2 tries, but has run very, very credibly. And he's one of the few horses that did get a work in this week in between when the races got moved. He worked on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, the day after the races got moved. 3 furlong and 37 and 4 nice maintenance work. Do you prefer to see horses with a little bit of work in that week in between, Callie, or can we kind of let them slide with just the maintenance stuff due to the fact that they weren't able to train as frequently as they possibly would have liked?
You know, that's tough. It's a horse on horse basis. So I'm looking at Funny Guy right now, and I'm just looking. He's a big colt, or yelling. That's what you have to realize, is that you have to keep up with his condition. So I do think maybe a 3 furlong work would have opened up his lungs great. And just a quick quote on him: he is run without Lasix last time, and I'm pretty sure he's the only horse to do that in the field today.
Yeah, and that could certainly make a difference as horses are going towards the track. And I agree with you there on Funny Guy. Perhaps a sharper work would have tightened him up a bit. Good muscles to him, but does have a little bit around the waist there, as we'll now just have talked him into the winner's circle as the 3 to 2 favorite. The form horse coming in here, the New York bred for John Chernoff, who doesn't frequently send them over here, but when he does, he's been very, very successful. As we head to the post parade for the Grade 3 General George. Best of luck. Ride. First graded stakes victory for jockey Victor Carrasco as well. Miguel Penaloza, $10.80. Well timed out ride. And as Victor was telling me when I spoke with him in the winner's circle, he said, my instructions were, do not go to the lead. And he didn't. He kind of, bit his time and then produced him at the right moment. And Callie, that's something that you know so much about. It's all about making that right move when the time is right. Not too soon, not too late.
Because that can very much affect what's going on in the horse's head. Forget about the rider. It's about what's going on with the horse, and it's like a timing chemistry, so to say. It's kind of like a moving chessboard. So you have to time it right. I think Victor did it perfectly. Love to see the wins for all the connections.
Yeah, congratulations to everyone. It's been quite the day of upsets, of
It's been a good
wonderful
day of Maryland racing. Yeah.
It certainly has been. It really, really has. And of course, it was the first graded stakes victory as well for his Biscuits Punches trainer, Justin Nixon. Rainbow Pick 6 update, 8 live tickets, perhaps not in the same magnitude, but for those that are still live, of course, very important. No singles though, so we have an approximate carryover of $9,800 for tomorrow's card to play with. So we'll get to that tomorrow. But looking back at today, Callie, what would have been the race that struck you as the most special? What will you remember?
So I actually have a couple things, but we have to talk about Street Loot. She was not dethroned today. That was such an impressive win. And then really quickly, just the connections for the first graded stakes victories for a trainer in one and a jockey in the other. That's a pretty special day for everybody at the Laurel community.
Yeah, I must admit that to me, Street Loot's victory in the White Country was just, proven to us that even as a 3-year-old, she is right on top of the Maryland-bred fillies, right on top of her game, and that was very, very special. So I dare say I'll remember that one, but also Hibiscus Punch, a big long shot
That was
win
huge.
there.
That was huge. Yeah.
Yeah,
Big
certainly.
time.
Yeah, a wonderful day of stakes action that is coming to a close here with the last race on the day. Race 9, maiden special weight for 3-year-olds going the 6 furlongs. And we'll kick things off here with your top selection, Callie. Jumping from the rail is the number 1, Imagine Hong Kong. Comes in here for trainer Gary Capuano. Last time, only start today. Ended up running very far back of the field, deep closer, still had 6 to 7 lengths to make up. Snuck through on the rail though, that maiden 46.5 furlongs. Got kind of lucky, I felt, with that gap appearing, but accelerated very willingly for jockey Victor Rosales. I feel like jumping from that inside gate though, you want to kind of stay out of traffic with a horse like this. Now Gary Capuano does know the family extremely well because he trained his dam Hong Kong tour, who won her first 4 starts for him up to that second optional claiming level. From 6 furlongs to a mile. So very, the dam certainly was a runner. And this gelding is coming in. First time gelding as a 3-year-old this time as well. He made his career start as a 3-year-old. So clearly they gave him a little bit of time.
So, and the time is what he needed. He did, while he was off a bit, he did have a rail turn. So I think, the one position, I'm going to put the pressure on Victor today because that's going to be Victor's job to get this horse out of here and get this horse in the right spot. The big thing with Gary is that he's at a 40% win clip in second time out. So, and I can speak personally from that. I remember he had a big stake filly, Haley's Flip, and I rode her for her up until her stakes competition. And her first run, it didn't go so great. I think she attributed to the heat. But regardless, Gary gets these horses ready for their second time start. There's so many factors into that, and just it's akin to high school versus college. And sometimes, as far as breezing, training, with that being high school and then going to college doing the races, some kids just need a semester to get in the groove of it, and that's kind of how Gary's barn operates. They usually need a start, and then they're good to go for the second start.
That's a very good comparison there, and there's nothing wrong with getting a horse a nice experience first time out and then really cranking on the screws and getting them fit as possibly can be for that second start, second time out. It's all about education and developing a horse throughout their career. So I think that's a wonderful way of putting it, and Gary Capuano's indeed done very well with horses with that similar profile. The number 4, Hemp, comes in here also with a start underneath his belt for trainer Anthony Ferrier. Javian Toledo remains on board. Had a bit of a layoff, 64 days away from the track, also comes in here as a first-time gelding. So in a way, similar profile to the number 1 Imagine Hong Kong, except that this is a gelding that shows a lot more speed. Last time out, it was an encouraging debut. He found himself close to quite a strong pace that day, and I feel that muddy ground over 6 furlong right here just took something out of it, kept on evenly, and something to build on.
And, he did start on a muddy surface too, and today we have a nice clean track he's going on. I think that's going to benefit from him as well. Anthony Ferrier is at 38% win clip first after the layoff, so I think that's a huge feather in his cap going for that. Quickly, wanted to report that there was a vet scratch. He had this horse entered twice on the weekend of the 22nd and 23rd of January. The first was a scratch and re-entered it, and then the second was a vet scratch. But I'm going to attribute that to maybe the horse just still needed time after it was gelded before he went out. So, that speaks to Anthony scratching the horse. Kudos to him for, probably, that's my guess of what happened, that this horse probably wasn't ready, but now it seems that he is.
He certainly looks ears pricked, ready to go once again here in the paddock. Very alert on the muscle, kind of willingly taking the handler around there. Certainly looks to be sitting on a big run second time out. 7-2 on the board. As at present, your favorite is the first time starter, trained by Marco Salazar, the number 6 Pharaoh's Fury, who is by Triple Crown winner, Grand Slam winner, American Pharaoh. Currently, he's hitting with his first at about 11%, which I'm going to say is perhaps a touch disappointing for a horse of his stature. Now, he is coming from quite the family, though. Dame Reher has been a very strong producer. He's a half-brother to Grade 2 San Felipe winner here at the Ghost Mountain 16, half-brother to Grade 1 spin-away fixture, excuse me, I seem to always do that, Manny Bavan. However, perhaps a drawback there is that the Dame has been a producer. She was 18 years old at the time that he was foaled 3 years ago, so just a touch older mare. Don't always necessarily has to mean that they can't still produce. An 18 years old is by no means completely past it, but just something to know. And then Marco Salazar, 0 from 4 with his 3-year-old Firstas, and 0 from 11 with Firstas overall record, but however 3 in the money. I'm just wondering if we're looking at a colt that's possibly, as you were mentioning, placed to get a nice experience here. Although the works seem decent enough. How do you think? What do you think their objective is with him?
That's what I was gonna. So we've got Alcibiades Cortez on him. He's gonna gun for the lead. But the biggest thing that popped out on my radar with this horse was that the February 6th 5 furlong work out of the gate, 101, I remember that weekend. That track was pretty deep that weekend, so that's quite an impressive work. He's put in some really decent works, but that last work on the 6th of February before he is in the paddock here today, that's what garnered my attention to get him on the board today.
And the number 6, Pharaoh's Fury, is 6-5 still on the board. Just on type-wise, though, do you think he's maybe a touch soft in the paddock? Or are you happy with?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think we're gonna need a race or two before we really see what's going on here.
Yeah, be intriguing to see how he fares today. The number 3, Flat Cat, comes in here currently 4-1 on the board. Comes in for Jose Corrales. Horatio Caramanis, of course, already had a wonderful win in the Fritchie. Showed a bit of early pace. Looked keen, ready to go. Allowed to glide up next to impressive winner, Silent Service, but kind of tired, belated, and perhaps Silent Service wasn't as strong in his last effort either to frank that form. But Fat Cat could certainly prove to step up to the challenge here with Horatio on board, as we're about 5 minutes to post. It's been such a wonderful day. Thank you to everyone tuning in, betting with us. 6 stakes races, incredible stories. Naomi Tucker, Callie Francois, thank you so much. And we're saying goodbye and good night.